when I realized like you're never gonna arrive in an area of life, like I think that's a very humbling thing to realize when we're like, okay, like I know that when I got into college, I was like I knew that I was like, okay, if I get accepted into the University of Georgia, then like I've arrived in life and like, you know, but then it's like I got accepted and then I was just on to the next thing. Oh, let me find a roommate. Oh, you know, will I like my major? Will I like my career? It's like there's always something that's next, that's coming. And so I'm never gonna fulfill like that sense of security and just like comfort that comes in like arriving in life, because that's not realistic. And I think when we realize that like our God is a gentle God, he's not only like all powerful, all knowing, but like he is like humble and gentle, and like we can rest in that gentleness, and he's not going to be like, okay, you have to meet this certain standard, or I won't love you enough, or you know, you're not loved enough because you haven't reached this goal. And I think that that's comforting to realize like, okay, God is like gentle and gives me grace and turns my mistakes into a part of my story that can help me grow and help other people grow. And when I realized like the grace of God is like all sufficient, and it's just that I can like rest in that security and not rest in reaching the next success block, I guess.
I feel like there's like two things that I want to pull out of like both of y'all that I totally agree with. Like, I think the idea of arriving is such a myth. Like, it's just such a myth. Yeah. I mean, I think back on my life when I was like, even like a kid, and it's like, oh, when I get to high school, like then I'll be cool. Like then I'll have these things that I see all these people have. Oh, when I get into college, like I'll have made it. Oh, when I graduate college and get a job, I'll have made it. And I feel like even people now that I know that are like 25, 26, my friends that are post-grad that are in their first job, and they're like, oh, well, when I get the better job that pays more money, or even just like something that I've been thinking a lot about is finances. Like now that I am post-grad and like how to do life, and I'm like, oh, when I have, you know, that idea, like, oh, when I have like this much money in the bank, like I'll be okay. Like, oh, but then it's never enough. Like, that's just the tendency of our human nature is to just always want more. And so I think like the idea of arriving is it like you never can. Like you're never gonna get to a point on your own where you're like, okay, awesome, I did enough work on myself. I'm so healed, like I feel good, like I've arrived. Like there's always more. Like I think what you said even maybe like a question or two ago, like there's always more that we can be growing, and there's always more that like we're gonna like see about ourselves and like want to heal from and want to experience growth in. And so it's like, yeah, we never can arrive. And I feel like there's some, that sounds maybe on the surface really hopeless, but I think it actually is what gives us so much freedom to not have our identity rooted in what we do, and to have our identity rooted in who we are rather than like what we can produce and what we can achieve. Because I think like I've definitely experienced that of like putting my identity like, oh, I was the kid in high school that like that made really good grades. Oh, I was the girl like beginning of college that's like always happy, like always on for people, always like ready to just like be positive. And I'm like, that's great, and a lot of times I am like that, but like obviously like everyone, like there's things that are hard, or like days where I'm like, yeah, today's not a great day, like I'm struggling today. And being able to actually like be authentic with people about that and not see that as, oh, well, you're supposed to be this way and that's who you are, so like you can't struggle, gave me so much freedom to just like experience and like feel my feelings and know that like it didn't make me a wrong thing. Like it didn't make me feel shameful or like ashamed of who I am to like have bad days or like have other feelings that weren't just like happy-go-lucky all the time.